Well, it's about that time for episode 64 of Whatchu Spinnin. We're kicking it here at my place. I'm Dorian, brought to you by Gatorade. No. Brought to you by
Rockstar.
Brought to you, yeah.
Rockstar,
it's like the Rockstar Energy, like the Monster Energy Outbreak tours, remember? Saw Earth Gang on that tour, shout out. Hell yeah. Well, and joining me as always, we've got Jake and Matt, and you might see a cat ass on the other side of Matt there. But yeah, how you boys doing?
Cat ass.
Good, man.
Good. You got the fire going. It's very nice and cozy in here.
Mm-hmm.
I walked in and felt very at home.
Very
Thank you.
homey.
Thank you for that.
Of course. But yeah, any music stuff you want to talk about? Getting into anything outside of straying from the curriculum?
I try to every day because I listen to music all day, every day, and it's hard to break away from those artists that we talk about on the podcast and the artists that we all just cling to.
Right.
I've been trying to a little bit more and found some cool hip hop artists that are more like in the realm of Saul Williams, Billy Woods, which is nice. Hearing other people's take on that, but it's hard to branch out for me.
It is. I mean, we're 60 plus episodes in, and even with revisits, that's about. And then, I mean, especially with like the hip hop bracket, that's easily 60 artists, alone that we've brought up. But yeah, I haven't branched out too aggressively. Again, I'm trying to I'm like keeping my cards close to my chest because I have been getting into some shit. But I'm saving it because I'm bringing it up for next episode. But I have been, I guess I'll say it again. I was telling you guys off camera, I've been really on like aggressive music kick, like metal, like harder rock and shit. I've got Lamb of God fucking Ashes of the Wake by Lamb of God, one of the best metal albums of all time. I got that in the mail the other day. And yeah, I don't know. I can't even podcast content. I was like, man, I just brought up Floater, which that was like one of their more aggressive albums. Dead Kennedys is like not accessible, really. It's like hard to get into. And then I was like, man, I just can't stop myself. I tried everything. I was like, do I bring up food? I was like, do I revisit Doom again? Like, do I just do that? I was like, nah, I can't. I can't.
Dude, it's hard to break the mold. Especially if, we all have favorites that we've talked about and that have reappeared throughout the podcast. I know that recently, just for new music, Benny the Butcher just dropped his Rock Nation album.
Oh shit!
A Rockefeller album.
Damn.
It wasn't that good.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, Hit Boy and Alchemist produced on it, but other than that, 2 or 3 songs, it was kind of
Oh, bummer.
But apart from that, not really.
Yeah.
I've just been listening to my next week's pick, to be completely honest.
Same.
Yeah, in anticipation, I'm like, what am I going to bring? I already know what I'm going to bring, so let me already get used to it. So that's kind of what I've been doing. But
yeah, I would, the past couple of days, when I would go to work, I had a general idea of what my top 3 for the albums were, and I would pick my top 1 from each and then play what I'm bringing up next time. So I was like, I just can't. Yeah. My first 2 days of this new job, I was just like, all right, and there's the podcast, and now we just go. Same shit as yesterday. Yeah.
Soul too, actually. I've been listening to Soul a lot more. The Aquatics. The Aquatics and stuff in that genre.
Heck yeah.
Curtis Mayfield, all that stuff, the oldies.
Nice.
I think Spotify is very helpful, even though it's kind of generic sometimes, with helping you find different artists. There's that AI DJ that I told you I was listening to. You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hit and miss. It brought up stuff that I've never listened to, like Greta Van Fleet. I'm like,
yeah.
Did I ever play a song by her? No. But it definitely helps having those. This is similar to your artist, or this was trending in 1990 because you like Fugazi or whatever, and you finding other bands that way. I found this very helpful with Spotify. So shout out Spotify for doing that.
Yeah, yeah. The Daylist did that for me for a while. I remember, if y'all remember me bringing
the Daylist is cool.
I still use that too. Yeah.
The Daylist was it for me. I almost brought up an artist that the Daylist introduced me to. I almost brought up Machine Girl almost decided to go with Machine Girl for next episode, but I was like, that was the one I was like, I really want to bring this up, and I just couldn't bring myself to. It. But any other thoughts before we dive into today's
There's a lot of good music released last year. There's still a few albums that I'll definitely want to bring up on our cast, but 2023 was a good year for music.
Yeah, it was.
Everything. Hip-hop, alternative, like all over the place. Depeche Mode had an album, like just so much good stuff.
Which was actually, I did like
probably
it.
one of their best albums, you know, for just two of them.
Yeah.
And the surviving members, probably going to be their last album, I would assume. But.
Yeah. That is, and it's funny that, because there was, I wish I could remember what it was, but there was an album that I kind of stumbled upon between episodes, you know, between last time we met and now, and I was like, fuck, this came out in 2023, like, this is baller, and I wish I could remember it off the top of my head, but yeah, it's the same thing. Because I was thinking, I was like, Jesus, like, it was so much more than I thought was going on, you know? I was like, God damn, there was so much, you know, but fucking Sleep Token and Billy Woods fucking
we were kind of like
took over my
like
spring
tunnel
and summer.
vision, like open that eye and
it really did take over our listen. Like, at least for me, like it took over Billy Woods, and Arm & Hammer just took over last year.
Oh yeah.
But apart from that, like, just, you know, glad to be in person again. Like,
for sure.
It feels like it's been forever since we've done it. Like,
it's been, I don't think we've done it since the new year, for sure.
Yeah,
this is our first time in 2024. It's good to see you guys.
Yes.
Hell yeah. It's been a while. Matt and I don't work together anymore.
No, it's a sad time.
We're all on an island now.
Yeah,
we are doing our own thing, but coming back every other weekend to talk about great music.
Exactly.
Up, down, and around like a carousel. It always comes right back to what we need to talk about today, which is 3 fucking fantastic albums. And we did a little chit chat, a little listening sesh before we started, and we decided Matt gets to go first today. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what you got to spin today?
Funny how you find different artists, music in general. For me, it's sometimes just being on YouTube and just diving down that rabbit hole. And the album I picked this week is kind of that similar situation. 2023 Radical Romantics by Fever Ray. I'm not sure, I think it's Scandinavian or kind of back in that area. No, not at all.
I was saying Norwegian. It might be Norwegian, but it might be Scandinavian as well.
More Norwegian. It's kind of famous for doing the intro to the Vikings series show, that intro song. But this album is very experimental. It's techno, it's rock, it's got that Nine Inch Nails feel because a song was produced by Trent and Atticus. Swedish. Thank you.
Sorry, it was going to bother the fuck out of me.
Swedish.
But Atticus Ross.
Karen Drazier was part of The Knife before this with her brother. They just got together and did their own stuff. And she is so unique and so creative. And just kind of blew me away. I found a live video of them performing this album for the most part and some other tracks that came out last year. Really well art shot video. And it just reeled me in. And I'm like, what's this album about? The album cover alone, you saw, it looks like Uncle Fester, kind of.
Yeah, it's like Otis from House. It's fucking Otis.
Yeah. So she plays that part to a T. She does her own thing. She doesn't care. I don't think it's a she, it's a they. I'm sorry I'm pronouncing that wrong. But the music is so good, and it just reeled me in from the opening track and all throughout the album. So hopefully you guys were interested in it. What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah. It was really interesting. It's not very often that you see artists like this that and it's common for us, especially in music, because if you don't listen to it initially, the first cover that you see, maybe the how many listeners they have, XYZ, you're like, this is odd. I don't like this, you know. It's kind of weird. It threw me off at first, the cover. I was like, whoa, this is very strange. And then I looked into it a little bit more. I was like, okay, she's got different personas, like it looks like they're different characters or whatnot, but listening into it, very intriguing, and it does very much reel you in. Like, everything about it is really engaging. You have that electronic, you have that EDM feel, then you also get when they're singing. The lyrics on it also really good. Their vocal range is super good, so everything about it kind of really makes you be like, okay, like, just stop seeing it face value, like actually listen to it.
Don't judge an album by its cover.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because especially by this, it's like just like this. Like this looks like Uncle Fester. Like this is scary. Like it
Riff
looks.
Raff, sorry.
Yeah, it's like I don't like
Yeah.
this, but man, is it good? Really good.
Yeah.
It is. It is. You know, it was surprising. You know, because I was like Fever Ray, Sugar Ray. You know,
That's
like,
exactly
like there's
the
so much.
connection that
Like,
I
and I was
made.
like, there's no. I was
That's
like,
true.
there's no. I was like, there's no way that's even remotely close to what this is going to be.
Right.
And I saw like the thumbnail and listened to a little bit of like the video that you sent when you discovered this project, and I was like, okay, interesting. And then you brought this up, and I was immediately saw the album cover as soon as we logged off. Basically, I was like, I need to fucking hear something off of this. Like while I was waiting for because when we do the Skype calls, I have to wait for him to download. And so while I was waiting, I just played the album, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I was like, all right, cool. We'll revisit that later. And then so that's when I made the playlist and all that shit. Blah blah blah. But it's weird, like how familiar it feels, you know, because it sounds like so. It sounds like a conglomeration that is of a litany of different artists that I've listened to, but it's like I never thought to combine them. It's like, to me, it's like Depeche Mode meets A Perfect Circle meets Glass Animals. Like, it's so weird to think about. I don't know. It makes me think too much, and I almost don't like it. I don't like that it makes me think this much about it. But it's so... It's just, it reels you in from, you know, what they call us. It's like this droning, you know, almost kind of sad kind of song.
It is.
It's rare that a sad song, A, starts off an album, and B, kind of draws you in like that off the get-go. And so I heard that, I was like, okay, cool. Like, it has this kind of big, like, it felt very big. Like, the sound was very big to me. And listening to everything else, I was like, this kind of goes all over the place, but it does kind of stick within this general vein of, like, acid trippy electronic weird like experimental like whatever, I don't know. I need to tag like 18 adjectives together before I say like pop funk, and then that's what it is. It's like blah, 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 this.
They have such a powerful message, I think, with this album. I think lyrically, and when you listen to the album from start to finish, it's very much of a like, we are who we are. You can make fun of us and call us names and make fun of us while we're going to school and stuff like that, but we're still here and we're still going to be ourselves. And I think it's a strong point to make that people are people, you know? Just because they choose to do something different with the life that they have and choose to be somebody else doesn't mean you can judge them based on that. Yeah. You know, and people need to be able to do that and have that freedom. And this album speaks very well to that. And I think, and in some sense, it's an anthem for that. And I think watching that live performance, you feel that from the performance, and you see that, and you're just like, for me, it caught me. Okay. Really well.
I'll have to look. I want to look that up because I don't think I saw the full thing. I don't think I saw that one. Yeah. But it has a message behind it that like old and new, you know, old and young can get behind. You know, it is because it is very like, hey, celebrating like individuality, you know, and all of that. And it's so, I'm glad that you brought that up because it's like, yes, while this is like basically, essentially a musical masterpiece, you know, if you really think about it, like how experimental it is and how well it's fucking pulled off. Because some of this stuff, I'm like, distorted cello, like with this, I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here, guys? Like, come on now. All of that aside, it's like the fact that you get this, and on top of it, you get this really well thought out message that fucking anybody and everybody can get behind. Yep. But it's really phenomenal. So shout out. Thanks for bringing this up.
Yeah, it's really progressive. Not only like in a musical standpoint, but just in general.
Oh yeah.
Like her image that like they portray for themselves. And I don't know if it's like breaking the mold to what they were previously with the knife, because I was listening a little bit of that. And like all the older stuff, and even Fever Ray, like the original, like the first
album's killer
album that
too.
they did, super good, super fucking good. And then they had like 2 more albums afterwards, but this one also, it just shies away to that, and it's kind of does its own thing. So you kind of see that like flower just like blossom and then just turn into like its own creation with this album. and it's super good. Everything about it is really good. I really don't have any negatives on it.
Yeah.
I think everything that's on it, like, you know, to the Trent Reznor song, like I do hear that in it.
Oh, it's
I
oozing.
hear that.
Once I read that, I was like, what? He is behind that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're like, okay, yep, we can hear it.
Yeah,
It makes perfect sense.
That was the same thing because I did that. I saw that and then went back and listened to him, and I was like, oh yeah. And I listened to the full album, and I was like, oh yeah, it's just dripping in Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor influence, which is, I mean, shout out to him. We love him.
There's also a producer, a musician named Vessel, who worked on North. And what's the lead singer for Sleep Token?
Vessel. I saw that
So
and I thought it was. I was like, no
It's not.
way. The lead.
They're different, right?
They're different.
Okay, they're different.
I had to
Okay.
look it up.
Okay.
I did too. That was like me for like half an hour this morning. I was like, no shit.
Yeah.
I was like,
Wait a minute.
there's red yarn on the other side of that door.
Yeah.
Don't go in the bedroom.
Don't do it.
No. So thanks for noticing that too. I was like, dude,
That's funny.
I almost forgot about that. Because I was like 2023. I was like, man, this man's had two of like the best albums out of 2023.
Right? What are they doing?
Which is something I didn't want to say, you know, because I was thinking again about like, you know, albums that came out last year and this one, and I listened to some of the other. I did like, you know, I remember listening to this last year, listened to some tracks, and I went back and listened to this, and I was like, this is rare, you know, for me at least, you know, because once I decide something, I'm like, yeah, like that's my favorite of 2023. But then this came out, like I listened to this, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is like automatically top 5 for me that came out. I was like, what the fuck? So
I wish I would have heard this sooner, because
me too.
I also would have like gotten a lot more listening time with it, and I would have gotten way more into it for sure. Not to mean that I'm not going to, like, I'm definitely going to keep listening to
right
it.
before you guys got here, I was listening to it.
Yeah, I was listening to it like all day last night. Like you have songs like Shiver, New Utensils that we just listened to. Like you hear it and you're like, whoa, like it's like different. It's electronic, electro. It's like kind of poppy. It's so many things. Like when you see, you know, in like the pages where people describe what it is, you just see made up words and like, different genres.
Avant-garde is just thrown around a lot.
Yeah, everywhere. This is that. It's like you can't pinpoint what it is. But whatever it is, like everything that it is, it's, you know, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, everything that it tries to do so much, and it succeeds so aggressively at doing all of those things that the album sets out to do, with, you know, tackling like, I mean, for fuck's sake, man, there's a 7.5-minute song that's just I listened to that while I was driving, and like I didn't realize until it was too late that I had to listen to 6 minutes and 40 seconds of and I was like, damn, they fucking got me. Shout out to them. They fucking got me, man.
I was gonna say, I noticed that too. I was like, I don't like this song, and then I'd be like 5 minutes there. I'm like, why am I still listening to it?
Because you can't. It's
you
like
can't turn it off.
It's like the sirens, you know, like the old Vikings and pirates used to talk about the sirens. They draw you in. It draws you in, man.
But all their lyricism, as simple as it may be, you know, asking for a friend who's kind of shy, like, oh, that's such a good lyric for a song. It was just like, I don't know, looking for a ghost. Good track.
Looking for a ghost. Oh man, boom, boom, duh. Speaking, before I forget, New Utensils, Matt. Tell me, it does the vocal on it doesn't sound like Fear Inoculum Maynard.
It does.
It does very much so. Like that's the one note I put for that. So I was like Fear Inoculum. I was like, it was. That was the other thing, because I tried to, when, you know, I've said it multiple times, when something like this gets dropped on me, I'm like, it just reminds me of so many things, and I'm like, how does this, like, who would have thought that would happen? And so I was like, man, this is like all 3 Maynard projects, 9 Inch Nails, like, all this other shit. But yeah, thank you for validating me on that one. Even It Out, I don't know why, but that just made me like, it's like,
there's a video for that song too, which is like a John Waters throwback.
Really?
From he's kind of a director.
Yeah.
Weird director. Pink Flamingo, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they made a video.
Really?
With an actress that kind of looks like Divine, but not really.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Fuck yeah.
Pretty good.
Okay. I'll check that out. But there was the one other thing that I wanted to say that this album, like, kind of the feel for me, and it makes sense that like the work of Fever Ray has been used in shows before, is because this whole album is just the soundtrack to an HBO show to me.
Like True Detective or some weird.
Yeah, like some dark, like
Yeah.
kind of like a little darker, not necessarily not like Sopranos, not that kind of HBO, but like something that's like a
if
little
Westworld was
crusty.
still on,
It's
yeah.
like it's got like like a True Detective, but with like more heroin. Like like it's like True Detective, more heroin.
More Euphoria. Yeah.
But yes, a little bit, but not without the as much nudity. You know what I mean? You kind of feel what I'm saying? Because I'm sitting there listening to it, and the other day when I made jerky for the first time in almost a year, I was listening to it, and my stepdad finally gave me this like special knife back that I can't use in the dishwasher, so I have to dry it. I'm sitting there drying it, and that Even It Out song was going, and I was like, man, this feels like a montage, like like a drone shot camera montage. Like I'm going, the dog's like running around, the cat's cleaning himself on top of the table. I'm like, this is chaos, but it's like this song for some reason would fit a scene like this so well. It was funny to me. I was like, goddamn HBO music.
It like kind of like wants to make you uncomfortable in some ways, like because you're like, what is this? What am I listening to? And then like you glance back at the cover again, you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, like fucking nuts, man.
It's hilarious. It's so good. I love it.
Well, I'm glad you guys were able to just dive into it and appreciate it for the message behind it and the music that's on it. You know, it's different. It's not from the U.S. I love that. Find those artists outside of the country that actually resonate with us. So
for sure, yeah. It made me think. I was like, once I saw Swedish, I was like, man, we got to do like a themed episode where it's like not U.S.
Yeah,
like not
we should.
U.S.
We could all go there easy.
Easy, yeah. Well, and then also, y'all can't see on camera. I hung up some vinyl on the wall. I had Masonic Temples and Buena Vista Social Club,
Nice.
two exports. I was like, man, we should do that. But yeah, I love hearing stuff from, especially like Sweden. It's like, what the fuck would I thought? They know how to make music that way?
Swedish producers, man, something about that.
I know, I love it.
Swedish producers are, they know what they're doing. They're making them out the woodworks over there.
You give a Swede a beat pad, they'll fucking they'll blow your hair back. Hell yeah. Shall we?
Yeah, so I have in top threes.
Go ahead.
Starting off with my honorable mention would be Candy. Another great video. They made a video for that one too.
Hell yeah.
Number 3 would be North. Just kind of a mellow vibe compared to all the other tracks on the album. Number 2, Looking for a Ghost, based on the lyricism. And then my favorite track, which I played earlier, was New Utensils.
Hell yeah. Rock on, crouton. I'll go ahead and follow you up because my honorable mention is New Utensils. Loved that song, definitely. I said it earlier, that Fear Inoculum Tool sound. Second one was Carbon Dioxide. Loved that song. Number 3 for me, What They Call Us. It's just, there's a lot of emotion in that song.
Yep.
It does something for a brother. Number 2, Looking for a Ghost. Just, again, there's like different emotion. It's like the same emotion but portrayed differently vocally. From What They Call Us to Looking for a Ghost. It's like the same kind of emotion but kind of expressed in different ways to me, which was another thing I really liked. And then number 1, Even It Out. I don't know why, just that it's like just so, it's like anthemic.
We know where you live.
Yeah, exactly. It's so, man, it just drew me in. So yeah, Even It Out, number 1 for me.
Nice. That's my honorable mention. I kept coming back to it, and it somehow kept coming on. Like I put on, I would just be like, oh, I'm waking up today, I have to shower or whatever. Just put on shuffle. First song that comes on. It's like I can't get away from it. Shit. So Even It Out. Number 3, I'm going Candy. Number 2 is Carbon Dioxide. Really like that song
like
too.
That track.
Yeah,
dude.
That song is good. And then my favorite track, New Utensils. Also, it's like when I heard that, I was like, yes, it was the first song that I really listened to.
Hell yeah.
And it just caught my attention from the rest of the album.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Rock on. Thanks for bringing that up, man. I'm glad that it survived. It was other than, my power coming back on, the other thing I was worried about, I was like, is Matt's vinyl ever going to fucking get here safely?
True.
I was like, is that thing going to shatter when it meets room temperature because it's been in a warehouse at 19 degrees?
It made it safe and sound. Plays like a champ.
Hell yeah. Yes. Fucking shout out Fever Ray. Shout out Matt for bringing this up. And shout out y'all for tuning in for the first part here of Whatchu Spinnin' episode 64. We'll be right back to move on to my pick for this week. See you later. Hell yeah! Well, we are back, ready to spit some more BS upon you about some music. Patooey. And we're moving on in the lineup to my pick, 1987's Give Me Convenience or Give Me Death by the Dead Kennedys. Compilation album of B-sides and singles, shit that didn't make their albums originally, like that were originally not recorded for albums. That's why it's not a greatest hits album, and that's why it's legal procedure for me to bring it up on this album, because there's stuff that doesn't appear anywhere else, okay? And we'll get into it. I love it. It reminds me of selling shoes and skateboard shit. Basic scumbaggery. It makes me want to buy a pair of cut-off jean shorts and get leg tattoos and smoke cigarettes. But how does it make... What do you guys think?
Do you have a Dead Kennedys sticker on your bass?
I don't.
Okay, well, you're not a fan. Then.
Almost there.
Wow.
The DK.
Oh yeah,
that's
the
so
DK.
good. That's so good. Fuck yeah. But yeah, that's I love this whole album. Love them. But yeah, what do you guys think of this piece?
It was good. I liked it. I hadn't heard of Dead Kennedys.
Really?
Like I'd heard of the name, but none of their actual like music or stuff. But this, I mean, am I right to say this has some of their more like popular songs just in general?
Yeah.
And I noticed it's on other albums too, like Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. That has a lot of songs.
Yeah. So are they
just like different versions of?
Yeah, those are the album. Like they re-recorded the songs for the album. This is all of the single versions of everything, and then like the B-side, like Police Truck was the B-side to Holiday in Cambodia, I want to say, or California Uber Alice, one of the two. But yeah, so it's just a collection of like the single, because when those songs were originally recorded, it was singles. Like they didn't have an album deal yet. So yeah, like Police Truck, even though it appears on that, and then another album too, I want to say.
But really, also like just classical punk. Like I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Like when I think of punk now, I think of a couple bands, and I feel like this is definitely up there also for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Some funny tracks also, some really, really funny tracks. Like there's a song on there, it's like, I like short songs, something that's like 30 seconds long.
I like short songs!
Yeah.
I like short songs! I think that's the bassist singing. I don't even think that's Jello Biafra. I think that's the bassist singing.
So, and yeah, like it's packs a punch. There's like, 18 songs, 20 songs on it?
17.
Yeah, so, but no, really cool. I liked it.
Hell yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I know a lot of different bands, and I've heard of Dead Kennedys in the past, but I've never dove into their catalog at all for whatever reason. I don't know if it's just stupidity, but these guys are punk pioneers. Like this is where it's at. Like you can hear it from the opening track on this album, and it's just Police Truck is so good. There's catchiness all throughout this album. We got the live cuts. Jello Biafra didn't really know he was the front man for these guys until I dove into the album. And I knew of him from other things, but this is punk where it's at. It's a fun album. I like how they brought up Portland, Oregon with one of the tracks. How he had like a situation with some people. California Uber Alice. I mean, that's repeatable. You can sing that song over and over in your head. There's just so many good tracks on here, and I'm glad that they released this album and I put it all out there with the B-sides. It's really good. Really good.
My introduction to this album in particular, I had heard Dead Kennedys through playing video games. That's kind of a common thing I bring up. Police Truck was on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, and the remake that came out a couple years back. Fucking shout out. They kept the soundtrack basically the same.
That's cool.
Dude, Police Truck while you're fucking just carving up a ball, dude.
Yeah, right.
Dude, it's fucking.
Make me dust off the tech deck platform, dude.
Dude.
Yeah.
I brought the little skateboard dude you got me,
Uh-huh.
and like the tech deck that Gavin got me. I have them on my desk at work, and I was listening to Dead Kennedys on my lunch yesterday, and I was like, fuck, I could just bust out a little fucking.
Yeah.
But yeah, Police Truck was on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and its remake, and then Holiday in Cambodia was on Guitar Hero 3, actually.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Because I was like, I was trying to remember where I had heard it, and I had to look it up. But my introduction to them was playing video games, but then me getting fully into this album was I was working at Zoomies at the time, and we had a flood, or a leak in the ceiling at the mall, and so the store was like low-key flooding on the sales floor before I was supposed to go in. And I get in, and California Uber Alice is playing. It's just it was that intro. It was like like a movie. I was walking into that and I was super into System of a Down at the time. And Jello on this track sounds a lot like Darren Malakian, the guitarist, when he sings. No wonder Dead Kennedys ended up influencing both of Darren's bands. But I was like, oh shit, this is badass. Like, is this Scars on Broadway, which is Darren Malakian's side project? I asked my manager. He's like, no, this is the fucking Dead Kennedys. I was like, well, fucking...
I'm sorry,
dude.
Yeah.
I was like, I like System of a Down, and it sounds like the guitarist. I'm fucking... So he was... Yeah, we were all just pissed because the sun was flooding. Whatever. Our lives were over. But, no, California Uber Alice heard that and then wanted to listen to it, and I searched it on Spotify, and then this album came up, so I just listened to this, and I was like... What the fuck? I was like, all of these songs are on one album, and then literally until I bought this album, I didn't realize it was a compilation of, whatever. I was like, shit, all right, cool. But yeah, and then, my buddy Patrick that got me into AJJ and all of the folk punk stuff, he's a huge Dead Kennedys fan, so we listened to him then. But yeah, just, I'm glad that you guys like it. I was like, we got to bring up something that's like,
we haven't really brought up a band that's like in that
punk.
genre. Yeah, this is like you just said. This is punk. Like Fugazi's not punk. Like a lot of the other bands we talk about are not punk. This is an example of like what you consider that genre. Like if you were to pinpoint it, like that sound, the guitar, the lyricism. That's like a vibe of punk, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And just they were, they didn't like corporations. They didn't play stuff if it was sponsored by like Coors.
Yeah, there's that one song where it's just like a rant. I forgot which one that is. It's not The Prey, but it's another one where he's just talking about corporations and stuff like that.
There's a couple, I feel like. There's a lot. And
I like The Prey for that
their
reason,
lyrics, too. It's like very... like some of it is like political, I guess, but at the same time, they're like expressive about what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And they're very direct on that, on all of their stuff, really. And it's all kind of different things. Sometimes it's just, it's a joke. Other things, it's actually kind of like low-key serious.
Yeah.
Like reading up more on their stuff, I really like dove deep into like just the lore and like the background and everything.
Because it's so interesting. Because
it is.
Sorry, just real quick, because it's again, we talked about Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and we're like, oh, Stills is a prick, or whatever. Like it's again like a classic thing of like musicians ending up just fucking hating each other after a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's perfect. But what did you were reading up, and what did you...
Well, just reading up on it, like just everything that like they were going through with the albums that they were doing, because just introduction to them, and then like lyrical standpoint and everything. It's just really interesting because they do kind of have some remarks in certain things, but at the same time it's kind of like fun. And they're not like super dead set and serious on it. Like you feel like they say that, but like maybe they mean it, but it's not like they're not like extremists about it. But the lyrics, like they're funny. Some of them are funny. Like some of them, like too drunk to fuck. Like that. I heard that the first time. I was like, wait, what? But it's just like a funny, catchy like song, and all throughout it, it's just really catchy. And it is very punk, like 2-minute songs, a minute song. Like it's, fast paced. It's good. It's good stuff.
Like hardly a guitar solo, like, stuff like that.
I can't think of one,
And to touch on like the you can't discern their political standpoint on it is like, because Jello himself, who was the singer, wrote all the songs and everything, he has been quoted as being like, I don't identify as fucking anything.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I don't fucking care. I also think he is a little bit of a Roger Waters, like he might be a little cuckoo, but he even said, he's like, I'm not even fucking Republican. He's like, I'll even identify, and I'm not libertarian. Like, he's like going, I was like, I mean, that's cool, and it makes, lines in, again, California, Uber Alice, where he's like, I am Governor Jerry Brown. It's like, oh, he just doesn't give a fuck. It's just funny because it was going on at the time. So I will be president. I'm like, I don't know why, like, that line in particular, I'm just like, oh, it's so smug and funny. And yeah, it really is kind of a time capsule of punk in and of itself, that this is an album that is even a thing, because it's like, yeah, back in the, like, that it is so, like, Dead Kennedys they are just so punk rock to their core that it's like, yeah, our biggest songs were just released as singles. We didn't get a big album deal, and that's why we got huge. It's like, we put out Police Truck and fucking Holiday in Cambodia, and those songs got huge. Like, it's hilarious.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
Every band we love or have listened to are inspired by Dead Kennedys, honestly.
Yeah.
No matter what genre. There's so many people that are inspired by them.
Yeah, well, and then they kind of, the songs on this album were recorded from, like, 79 to 86. And so that's, like... And also...
And knowing they've been around that long, I didn't know they've been around.
Me either. I thought they were, like, they started in, like, 82.
Yeah.
I was like, they were around in the fucking
78
70s?
Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. So, shout out to them. I mean, and this... I mean, there's a lot. Fucking Pull My Strings. We got to tell that story.
I mean, that's... Yeah.
Pull My Strings. Great song.
That was a good song.
They were invited to play at the Bay Area Music Awards. Bay Area Music was a magazine in the Bay Area from, like... the 80s to like almost 2000. They were asked to play California Uber Alice. They said that they had just been practicing that song. What they had really been doing was writing and practicing a completely different song called Pull My Strings. And this album, Give Me Convenience or Give Me Death, is the only recording of it, or the only album appearance of it, because it's the only time it was ever played. They never played it again, despite how popular it was. And they started the performance out by playing California Uber Alice, and then Jello says, hold on, we gotta prove that we're a new wave band, we're adults now. And then they play this song that rips off My Sharona by the Knacks, it's like My Payola, which is fucking hilarious, and then it just devolves into like this really groovy thing of, is my cock big enough? Is my brain small enough? Give me a toot and I'll sell you my soul. We're gonna make you a star. All just so, it's so perfect. It's just the best. It's like, yes, that's it. That's what that's what punk rock is. That's counterculture as fuck. I was like,
it's awesome they did that live. It's like the Doors going on Ed Sullivan and saying she got high. It's like, it's that kind of impact. It's huge, it's awesome.
And then to never play the song again. It's like, why, like, the fact that somebody recorded it, thank Christ, man.
Yeah.
But shout out to him. Shout out Dead Kennedys, Jello, Fluoride, all the other weird-ass names in that band. Shout out. Let's get into top threes, eh?
Let's do it.
All right. Honorable mentions for me, A Child and His Lawnmower. Love that song. Decent little bass line at the beginning of that. Other honorable mention, because I would have felt weird if I put it in my top three, but Police Truck, man. I mean, we're going downtown, gonna beat up drunks.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
It's so good.
And just the memories of, Cheeto finger controllers and playing Tony Hawk. Number three, their cover of I Fought the Law, my favorite cover of that song.
That's pretty good.
My favorite version of that song.
That's pretty good.
So that's number three. Number two, California Uber Alice. And the number one, Pull My Strings, man. That song just fucking rules.
It is the most catchy one out of there. For me, honorable mention would be Police Truck and Night of the Living Rednecks, because they talk about Portland, Oregon, and his situation, and it's just hilarious. You're like, wow, that probably really happened. I'm sure it did.
Oh, yeah. So, well, we can... thank you for bringing that up.
Yes.
We should talk about that.
We'll circle back around there. And then number three would be Pull My Strings. Nice. Number two, California Uber Alice. And then I like Holiday in Cambodia. I know it's a generic pick, but for me, it was the catchiest track on that album.
Dude, the surf kind of riff. It's
Yeah,
like built around. It's like very surf rocky. I love
Dick Dale kind of feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
It's so good. What you got, Jake?
Yeah, honorable mention also Night of the Living Rednecks.
Yep.
I just like that story, and same thing. Like you could see it happening in Portland.
Yeah,
Like,
it's local.
Yeah,
yeah,
you totally can.
like it totally happened. Number 3, I'm going California Uber Alice. Number 2, The Man with the Dogs.
I'm the man with the dogs.
Yeah, and then my favorite one, I Fought the Law, but that's like a cover to another song.
Who did it originally?
I thought the law.
I think it was The Clash, wasn't it? Something like that?
It might be.
Yeah, I think The Clash did it, but yeah, it's a cover, and Jello redid the lyrics to it a little bit. Yeah, because he says, I fought the law and I won. But speaking of Night of the Living Rednecks, I want to take a quick moment to touch on that song. Thanks for bringing it up before I forgot. That song is another live. There's a handful of like live versions of songs on here, and this being one of them. And it's recorded at a show in Portland, Oregon. I can't remember what venue it was.
Yeah, I wonder where they were.
And the guitarist's string had snapped, and so while they were replacing it, the bassist and drummer just started playing a little jazz thing, and Jello Biafra started telling a story about the last time they played in Portland, when he was accosted by people in what he described as a Hot Wheels truck, and he got water sprayed at him, and homophobic slurs were thrown at him, and he ended up fending them off in a fucking phone booth. And yeah, as they said, it makes the most sense, especially because of the time range that this came out. It's like, yeah, we're still kind of dealing with that shit nowadays here, so it probably happened back then. Right. So, again, fucking killer album. I'm glad that you guys liked it. This is one that I have almost brought up, I think, 5 or 6 times. I've been like about to bring it up, and then I decided to do something else. So I'm glad I finally pulled the trigger. It's one that I do hold near and dear to my heart. But yeah, shout out Dead Kennedys and all of them. Nice. We'll be right back to...
And I Fought the Law was the Crickets' Buddy Holly track, and then The Clash made it famous years later.
Damn, okay.
There we go.
Hell yeah, thank you for that as well.
I was curious too.
The Crickets and Buddy Holly?
Yep.
Hell yeah. Shout out to him. But yeah, we'll be right back to wrap this bad baby up and talk about Jake's pick for this week. It's Whatchu Spinnin' episode 64. Peace. Okie dokie. It's time to wrap this baby up and go in a completely different direction musically, time frame, any direction you want to say. We're going in a different one. With my main man, Jake's pick for this week. What you got, brother?
Yeah, so 2015, the internet's ego death. The internet is kind of a group like associated at the time with Odd Future. It was kind of like a spin-off of them. It was like a group project. But yeah, this is their 3rd album that came out, probably one that projected them more. And then afterwards, they like all kind of went off and did their own single project for a while. You have Sid, Steve Lacy, Matt Martians, and then there's like 2 other people, I think, but those are like the main ones that like contributed to it. A lot of production on it from Matt Martians. You got Tyler the Creator on there. Yeah, it's kind of a lot to get into. But what are you guys' thoughts on it? What do you guys think?
That was kind of pulled in right away. I felt like the mix of genres. It was like hip hop, it was R&B, it was like slowcore, it was all of these different things all at once. And they had different, appearances on there by other artists. And for me, it was just a mellow play all the way through. Like it didn't have anything that was like different. The feel of the album was all the way solid. So it was fun to hear them. I'd never listened to them before. It was a great intro to them. Girl with Kate Renata. We like that band from you bringing them up. So seeing how we like all these artists that kind of influence other artists and then have them on their albums as well. I love that.
Right.
Let's keep doing that.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, same. I'm all for it. You know, it is kind of 2015 R&B soul, kind of in a nutshell. You know, you look at this and it's like, this is what the scene was at the time. You know, and they were at the top. Like, this album came out and it was like, oh, holy shit. You know, I feel like people, until this album came out, because 2015 was kind of a weird year for any genre. So many different genres were so popular at that time, you know. And so this coming out, it was like, oh shit, we almost forgot about like R&B and soul or whatever, you know, whatever, like this, we forgot about this kind of shit, you know. It was like, oh damn, yeah, there is this, you know, that's still being made. And the internet, you know, I remember hearing about them a little bit from the Odd Future days, but I remember what really introduced me to them was they backed up Mac Miller on his Watching Movies with the Sound Off tour, and he did a performance of one of his songs on YouTube with them. He redid one of his songs off of that album, and it's like one of the things that'll make this man cry, dude. Okay. He put that one version, Mac Miller and the internet doing. I don't even know the name of the song, but I know how to look it up. You know, I know how to look it up. I can't remember the name right now. But it's that was my like full introduction to them, and you know, to find out that Sid, the vocalist, is related to Taco from Odd Future.
Oh, fucking I didn't hilarious. Know that.
It's his little sister.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's so good.
No, yeah, that's initially how I found out about these guys was through Sid, because she would feature on a lot of Tyler the Creator songs, and then also with Mac Miller and. The more that she was coming up, I'd see her name more, so I was like, okay. And then I stumbled upon the internet, which I was like, okay. And I had heard of like a couple years ago, but I never really was into that whole lot, because I was like, the name kind of throws me off.
It caught me at a bad
corny.
time.
Yeah.
When this came out, it caught me at a bad time too. I was like not down for it.
But like hearing it, like it's, you know, it's pretty good, and it's, you know, they had albums and singles before this that they were able to like hone their craft a lot better, and you can hear that a lot more in this album compared to the one prior. It feels more production based. Yeah, like you feel it sounds like a lot more like with beats, and at some points there's like B-side to songs, like second halves to songs that are like beat breaks, and they'll just be like a beat flip, you know.
Random, and it's like it doesn't introduce, it's just exactly that. It's just a beat break. It's like there's no other vocals here, it's just we're just gonna show off. Which I do love.
It's just like Matt Martian's just you know just doing his thing, and sometimes I wish they were longer, the songs, but like it's really good. And then paired with the features with Kate Renata and Janelle Monáe, like these Tyler the Creator,
Monáe. Underrated.
Really good. Really good. I really like her vocals.
Yeah, and the way that songs are, you know, I do love a song that is 2 in 1. So Just Saying I Tried, I love that song. You fucked up, and it's like it gives me bad bitch energy. I'm just like, I'm like, dude, fuck everybody. I'm like, this song comes on, I'm fucking. It's like, I don't know how it makes me want to hit somebody. I'm just like,
I get that.
And it even not about you. I'm like, fuck them, dude. You bitch. It just makes me, I don't know, it just gives me a song of that nature, like making me be like, fuck yeah.
You know, fuck with the wrong motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you tell them. That's how, I just love it. And then it is, you mentioned something that I want to touch on, Matt, with it kind of having the same theme, like not theme rather, but like the same feel kind of throughout it. It's funny, you know, comparing this, you know, having the same feel throughout it to Fever Ray, kind of going a little bit. It's fun to, you know, be able to compare these on the same episode, because they both knock it out of the park. It's like, this is 12, 15 tracks of just baller. You get lost in this. Like, I ended up getting lost in this, and until I heard Vic Mensa's vocal, I didn't know I was on a different song.
I was like, yeah, I thought this was a different album.
I was just like, I was just Jay chilling, and then I was like, oh, there's rapping on this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then the rest of it, I was just like, it just it's so, it just feels like dropping into, like, corn syrup. Like, it's just like,
I felt that way with the opening track, Getaway. Like, it just sets that tone right away. And
it's just
like,
smooth.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like taking just the right dosage of edibles.
There we go.
That's what this album feels like. Because you always
if you have a low tolerance,
or underdo it. Yeah. You do just the right amount. That's what this album makes
and
me
like
feel
you feel good, and it's not overpowering. It's not too crazy.
Yeah.
It does have that R&B feel all throughout it.
It does.
Like you guys said.
Yeah.
But I like it though. I like that.
Yeah,
I don't want that hip hop feel. Like with the Vic Mensa throw-in, I like that track, but like at the same time, it takes away from the overall output of what that album's trying to portray.
Yeah, it's the one. Yeah, it is the one thing that pulls you out of it.
Yeah,
yeah. Unfortunately, I love everything he does with Chance the Rapper, but this
his bars are okay, but it doesn't fit the album. I feel like
it really doesn't.
It doesn't, right? Yeah.
And you said it perfectly. You're like, this is a very Anderson .Paak beat, and it totally is. I'd much 100% rather listen to him over that.
Yeah.
But
on
besides
one of his albums, like, just give him that beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is his beat, I feel like.
Yeah.
But apart from that, like, it's
perfect.
Yeah, it's really good. We get a little Tyler, feature at the end of the album also, which is cool.
Yeah.
And even prior, the albums before this, the projects, they had also, Haji Beats, Left Brain, they'd always be making appearances.
Yeah. And this was Steve Lacy's like first full project with them, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was one where he was like actually also like putting vocals, like backing vocals to it.
That's right.
And then after this they would go on to do their own individual projects. Like Matt, he dropped one. I forget the name of it.
Martians.
I forget what the name of it, but it's good. He actually just dropped a new album. I was looking at it today on the way here. I was like, what the fuck?
Huh.
And then obviously, Steve Lacy, he went on to do his EPs, and then Apollo came out in like 2020.
Yeah, great album.
So yeah, a lot of it's cool to kind of see them where they were and where they are now, how they've changed.
Yeah.
They look so young in the picture.
Oh my god,
they look so
they
young.
do.
Sid looks tiny.
I was trying to find it because I've been putting in the episode like pictures of the artist like live. Couldn't find any that looked like the album cover. I was like, I'll even do like the year the album came out, like the internet ego death era live. Like my search will be a whole compound sentence with past participles and all sorts of shit, and I couldn't find one for where it looked the same because this was like, I feel like it's again just a time capsule for them and like music as a whole at the time. Even you want to talk about Tyler the Creator, like his one little feature on this kind of alludes to what he would end up doing on Flower Boy. It has a very Scumfuck Flower Boy kind of feel to his verse on this. And so I liked it because of that, because it really made me think of the year 2015, because that was when I was that was the last time I was this into music, me starting, like, so I was like, fuck, like I was listening to fucking every genre. I feel like that year I listened to so much that came out, like every genre basically I listened to at least a song. And so the fact that I was like, this I missed somehow, I was like, oh fuck, what the fuck? And then hearing it now, I'm like, this somehow snuck under the radar because R&B was the one genre that didn't explode somehow.
That's a good point.
But if it did, it was Bryson Tiller.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sorry.
This also like really just slid under the radar for a lot of people, I feel like, and hasn't until recently gotten popular just from like, Sid's perspective, and then Steve Lacy, like more people are trying to listening to it and discovering it, and also Hive Mind, also their like most recent one that came out like in 2017 or 18. Also really good, really good album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you find this one locally, or did you have to get it on Discogs?
This one I got on Discogs a while ago. But yeah, I'm glad you guys liked it. I know R&B, it's another one of those in that same field, and kind of we get some more familiar names. So
yeah,
it's cool to see where they all kind of at some point meet up.
Yeah.
Throughout the timeline,
right,
one way or another. Like so that's good too.
And you bringing this up, it took me until like my third listen through to be like, why do I like the internet? Like I started finally focusing on the name, and I'm like, why do I recognize this shit? And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh fuck, they did that song with Mac Miller that makes your boy cry, and then they did this and that. I was like, damn it. I was like, all right, cool. It was very cool to like listen to their music, rather than stuff they did with other people.
Yeah. No, but should we get into top threes?
Let's go ahead.
Top three. I'm gonna go honorable mention first.
Hell yeah.
It's Palace or Curse.
Yep.
Love that song. I really like Tyler's little jots that he'll throw in there. It's like funny. And then he's like, I have some exclusive, and he's like whispering and stuff.
Yeah.
Also, Girl. Love that Kate Renata's on here, and Sid would go on to do more songs with Kate Renata, so those are also good. Number 3, I'm gonna go Special Affair.
Hell yeah.
Number 2, Under Control. And then lately, I've been really listening to Partners in Crime Part 3.
Hell yeah.
Dude.
Because they have Part 2 and Part 1 throughout their older albums, so, another addition to it, but also a good one.
Rock on, crouton. Hell yeah. Well, honorable mentions for me, I've got Penthouse Cloud, that beat switch to just a beat break at the end of that. Fire. Second honorable mention is Gabby. Love a good Janelle Monáe cover. She's great. Number 3, For the World. Love that. The keys on that are just mint condition. Number 2, Go With It. Love that. Number 1, Just Saying. Already said all that.
Nice.
That song just bad bitch energy.
For me, honorable mention would be Girl. I like that Kate Renata combination. Number 3. Oh man, it was hard for me. This morning I was doing my top threes. It was tough. It was tough. Go With It would be number 3.
Hell yeah.
Number 2, Getaway, and I like Partners in Crime Part 3 too, man. I kept coming back to that all week.
Fuck yes.
Nice.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, that wraps up today's content for episode 64 of Whatchu Spinnin'. That was 2015's Ego Death by the group The Internet, which was Jake's pick for this week. Fantastic work on this album all throughout. I'm definitely going to listen to Hive Mind, which came out a couple of years later. But that's for another time, potentially. I'll let y'all know if I listen to it. I'll let y'all know if I listen to it as well. But for now, we got to really, finalize this, put the shipping label on this bad bitch to send it to the moon, and talk about what's coming up next time on Whatchu Spinnin'. We'll be right back. Peace. All right. It's about that time, which I think is still everybody's favorite part of the episode, at least in my opinion, where we tell everybody what their homework is, what they got to listen to for the next 2 weeks. It's time for next episode's content. What you got, Matt?
I know I brought this artist up when we were talking about my pick, I think, from 2023. We have to bring it up because it's probably their last album, Memento Mori by Depeche Mode.
Ooh.
Boom. There it is.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Figure we need to talk about that. So there we go.
Fuck yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome that you brought that up when I've got Violator on the wall. That's fucking awesome.
Another inspiration.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hell yeah. Well, and I'm next. This one is, shout out listening to podcasts, because sometimes, even if they're not about music, you'll get introduced to music. I've got an album. I got into this band and this album back in the hip-hop bracket. It's 2017's 1,000 Mile Stare by Incendiary. Some hardcore music from New York. Some hardcore metal, I guess you could say. A little punk, little metal aspect. It's
Hell yeah.
This is hardcore music.
Nice.
So yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Incendiary, 1,000 Mile Stare. You'll hit a PR. You'll break a
Probably,
keyboard.
yeah. Either that or I just won't be on the. I'll be in a wheelchair the next episode.
Matt might actually listen to this album.
I've
and
had this in my shuffle. Not this album, but the band name. So.
I was going to say, he's going to hit a PR and you'll dunk on Crosby. You'll be like, hey, let's go play one-on-one. You'll listen to this album and you'll come out. Let's go play one-on-one. Here's the Dikembe him. Yeah. I love it. It's definitely one of my favorite albums I've heard in the past 6 months.
Yes.
Not in my house.
Not in my house.
My pick, I'm gonna go 2002's NERD. In Search of.
In Search of?
In Search of, yeah, the debut.
Damn.
I've had my eye on this for a while, and it just came in a week ago or two.
Hell yeah.
I haven't spun it, so I'm excited. Very
Nerd.
excited.
Cool.
I'm a
Hell yeah.
nerd.
We love that. We love that. And that's kind of internet adjacent, too. I feel like that's a good kind of segment.
It is kind of, yeah, in a way.
You know, they kind of remind me. I feel like they kind of. I'll probably.
Yeah, there's
quote me on this. I will probably be wrong about this, but for some reason I hear internet and I hear nerd.
They got some R&B hits there. So.
Hell yeah. Well, NERD, Depeche Mode, and Incendiary. That's going to be an episode to watch. Just like this one has been. I'm Dorian. That's Jake. That's Matt. Thank you guys for coming over. Thank y'all for tuning in. Go ahead and stay warm. Stay hydrated. Stay dry, I guess. Be safe. Be a friend. Tell a friend about us. Go ahead. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and follow us on Instagram. And we love you. Thanks.
Peace.
Peace.